In the world of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin, the world of Game of Thrones, there are mysteries and horrors beyond mortal comprehension. Here, alongside the well-known fates and their merciful or guiding deities and gods, there are also darker ones whose names would, let's say, carry unease rather than comfort and hope. These are beings that are tied to the untamed forces of the world like death, shadows, storms, fire, and the deep unknowable places of the earth and sea. They are seldom openly worshipped in temples, but rather feared, placated, and invoked in desperation. Theirs are bargains struck in blood, and of whispers of madness left in the minds of those who dare to draw too close to their essence. And so here are 10 of these terrifying deities. The first one is the Faith of R'hllor, the Lord of Light, which burns brighter than any other religion in the Song of Ice and Fire, but its brilliance is also blinding and terrifying. R'hllor, the Lord of Light, is worshipped as a god of flame and life, who is opposed eternally by the Great Other, the god of ice, night, and death. To his followers, every sunrise is his gift, every night is a time of peril, and every spark of fire is a fragment of his divine essence. His priests and priestesses gather before roaring night fires, before bonfires, praying for dawn, whispering the chilling phrase, "The night is dark and full of terrors." Yet the religion is far from a comforting faith. It demands sacrifice, sometimes of the innocent and the beautiful, for these are said to be the most precious in the Lord's sight. Fire is not just symbolic but literal, as victims are burned alive so that their souls may rise in flame, and many a times these victims or these sacrifices are burned without their consent. There is also a rite called the Last Kiss, for example, which is a funerary rite where priests breathe fire into the mouth of the dead, and this blurs the line between reverence and horror. Through the power of fire, his servants have resurrected the dead and fought shadows or even demons into assassins. In the hands of zealots like Melisandre, his gifts become weapons. Armies are sacrificed into war, kings are seduced into delusion, and children burn at the stake for the promise of victory. His faith is an endless war, a demand for blood and burning, a vision of salvation, which might be just a nightmare. The second is the Great Other. It is the darkest and most terrifying force in George R. R. Martin's mythos. He is a godlike embodiment of entropy, of cold and annihilation. Where R'hllor is fire, light, and renewal, the Great Other is the void, the silence after the last breath, the endless night that swallows warmth, memory, and hope. He is not a god of trickery or ambition, but of absolute negation, a being who exists only to unmake. To his followers, if there are any, and his enemies alike, he is the Lord of Darkness and an eternal shadow that corrupts the natural order and twists life into mockeries of itself, as was seen in the creation of the others, who are the White Walkers, who are these merciless children of death. His influence is not just physical but also psychological, leaving mortals as only hollow shells haunted by whispers of eternal night. Unlike the fiery zealotry of R'hllor and his followers, the Great Other does not promise anything, only extinction. And the horror of his existence lies in his inevitability, in the inevitability of death. The creeping cold that no fire, however bright, can hold back forever, because death comes to us all. Valar Morghulis. The third entry here is Bakkalon the Pale Chow, who is one of the darkest deities ever conceived by George R. R. Martin, precisely because of the cruel irony of his imagery. At first glance, he appears as an innocent infant, a symbol normally tied to purity and hope because that's what children are, pure and hopeful. But in his hands rests a sword, which can be seen as an inversion of the Christ child, who holds no weapon. That contradiction captures his essence, which is actually the corruption of innocence into relentless violence, and in a way, this is Martin's version of an antichrist, especially when he is inspected with a lens of looking into other works of the author as well. In Martin's Thousand Worlds universe, Bakkalon embodies the brutal creed born from the ashes of an endless war, where humanity, scarred by near extermination by an alien race, turns its fear and hatred into a religion of genocide, of xenocide. His followers here worship not compassion but eradication, seeing all non-human life as soulless and commanding its destruction in a holy crusade. He is the god of endless conflict, a child god who never grows into wisdom, only perpetuates the cycle of slaughter. In A Song of Ice and Fire, his presence in the House of Black and White among the other death gods further shows his grim nature. He is not just a god of death, but of death wielded as a doctrine, sanctified slaughter given the face of an innocent child. The fourth here is the Stranger, who is perhaps the darkest and most unsettling of the seven, which is also treated as one of the aspects of the seven who are one. He is the one that embodies death, mystery, and the terrifying unknown that lies beyond mortal life. Unlike the other aspects, who offer comfort, guidance, strength, or hope, or even wisdom, the stranger is shunned, feared, and rarely prayed to. He is faceless and alien, described as half human and half beast, cloaked in a hood that hides his visage no one wishes to see. Where the father grants justice, the mother grants mercy, the stranger brings only inevitability, the end of all things, the silent hand that leads souls into the shadow of the next world, or maybe into nothingness. His association with the Silent Sisters, who are called his wives or handmaidens, shows his grim dominion. They tend to corpses, to the faceless and the veiled. They walk in the stranger's steps. Even among the death gods, he is uniquely unsettling, for while others offer some sense of peace or finality, the stranger represents the void itself, the unknowable, the faceless, the alien that no prayer can placate. He is the god people fear to look upon, and yet the only one they cannot escape, for in the end, every path leads to the stranger. Number 5. The drowned god of the Iron Islands has long seemed like more than just a mere seafaring deity, a god of the sea, because it echoes the version of A Song of Ice and Fire's Cthulhu, a being of the deep whose worship often blurs the line between faith and eldritch madness. The Ironborn believe themselves to be born from his watery halls, tied by blood and fate to the sea, and they are destined to reave and carve kingdoms in his name. Much like Lovecraft's great Old Ones, the drowned god exists in an eternal opposition to a cosmic rival, which suggests a mythic dualism that hints at powers older, far older, and stranger than humanity. Even their phrase, "What is dead may never die," resonates like a cultish anthem that is meant to reshape the Ironborn's view of morality and mortality. There are ritual drownings, child consecrations or sacrifices, blood sacrifices, and in the belief of watery halls attended by mermaids, and these all go side by side with the darker aspects of the Lovecraft's Deep Ones, which also exist here in this world. Maester Theron's speculation that the religion descends from the undersea fathers of the Deep Ones further strengthens the idea that the drowned god may not even be a benign sea father at all, but an echo of something vast, alien, and indifferent, dwelling in the black trenches of the world's oceans. If this is true, then the Ironborn are less a proud seafaring people and more of an unwitting cult. And side by side here is the storm god of the Ironborn. He is a figure of malice, embodying chaos, destruction, and the merciless fury of the sea. Unlike the drowned god, who at least offers his followers a promise of purpose or salvation and an afterlife in his watery halls, the storm god is nothing but an eternal adversary, an enemy whose only desire is to lure in mortals into ruin. He dwells in a hall of dark clouds, sending tempests to smash ships and to drown sailors in merciless waters, and to claim their lives without pity. Ravens are his creatures, and they symbolize death and ill omen, circling above the wreckage of ships and feeding on the drowned. In the legends of the Great King, the storm god is the one who extinguished the Naga's fire upon the king's death, stamping out even the warmth of triumph to leave only coal and ruin behind. In the present day, his shadow lingers in the superstitions of the Ironborn, with Aeron Damphir blaming him for Balon Greyjoy's death and the whispers of Euron Greyjoy bartering with blood sacrifice to win his favor, and thus Euron Greyjoy actually symbolizing death in his name. So next we have the Black God of Qohor, who is one of the most sinister cult deities in A Song of Ice and Fire, and its similarities to Lovecraft's Shub-Niggurath are unmistakable. In Modern's world, the Black God is fed human sacrifices in exchange for prosperity, fertility, and protection, a bargain that reeks of something primal and predatory. The name alone, the Black Goat, directly echoes Shub-Niggurath's nickname, the Black Goat of the Woods with 1,000 Young, which is a monstrous fertility god from the Cthulhu mythos. Just as Shub-Niggurath is tied to untamed forests, to fertility rites and the endless spawning of monstrous progeny like the Dark Young, the Black Goat's worship thrives in Qohor, which is a city that is pressed against a vast ancient forest where the line between civilization and the wild is really thin and veiled. So following the Black Goat is perhaps darker than most other fates in Modern's world because it intertwines life and death in a cycle of horror, where other gods demand prayer, honor, or symbolic offerings. This one requires blood, the lifeblood of slaves, captives, and sometimes even citizens, poured into its altar to ensure the city's survival. This bargain is clear. Fertility and abundance are bought with slaughter and the goat's blessings, which are all stained with the screams of the sacrifice and even the innocent. Now, number 8, we have the Old Ones of Leng, who are some of the clearest and most unsettling evidence of George R. R. Martin's Lovecraftian borrowings. In the lore of A Song of Ice and Fire, They are described as an ancient race who ruled the island long before men came, dwelling in a massive black stone ruin, so alien that those who wander into them often return broken, mad, or even never return at all. This mirrors Lovecraft's Elder Things and the denizens of the Plateau of Leng, who are ancient beings who predate mankind by millions of years, whose very existence warps the sanity of those who encounter them. Even the whispers of the god empresses of Leng consorting with the Old Ones recall the forbidden unions and pacts in Lovecraftian tales, where human rulers gain power through their ties to incomprehensible alien intelligences. To revere or even acknowledge the Old Ones of Leng is to acknowledge a truth that Lovecraft returned to again and again, that humanity is not master of the world, but a latecomer, scratching at the edges of ruins left behind by beings who once ruled as gods and may yet stir again. In this light, the Old Ones may not even be gods, but they are alien intelligences far older than humanity, and they are buried down beneath the earth. But they may rise again, and when they do, there is nothing that humanity can do but bend down on their knees and worship them as gods. The ninth entry here is the Lion of Night, who is one of the darkest and most ominous figures in the mythos of A Song of Ice and Fire. See here in the ancient tales of Yi Ti, which is an empire in the Far East, he is remembered as a god of punishment and of terror, not a being of mercy but of wrath. When mankind strayed into corruption in the past, into bloodshed during the fabled blood betrayal, it was said that a maiden made of light, which is kinda like their mother goddess, turned her face away in sorrow, and in that moment the Lion of Night, which is her son, descended in fury to scourge the world. His coming is forever linked to the long night as well, which is that endless winter of death and despair which nearly destroyed all life, and the same one which is linked with the others, the White Walkers. And unlike the benevolent or life-giving gods of other cultures, the Lion of Night embodies retribution, shadow, and he leads a legion of demons who serve under his will. In the city of Bravos, the faceless men claim that he is just one mask of the many-faced god, and this shows that even in death, his shadow remains a force to be reckoned with. And the strangest thing here is that he may be the Eastern version of the Great Other. And lastly, we have the many-faced god, who is one of the darkest and the most unsettling deities in this world. And it is easy to see Lovecraft's Nyarlathotep as his inspiration. Where most gods in the world are distant and abstract, the many-faced god is intimate and immediate. It is death itself, always at your shoulder. The faceless men teach Arya that every deity of death across the world, the stranger in Westeros, the Lion of Night in Yi Ti, the Great Other in the Frozen Waste, and even the god of the Starry Wisdom cult are not rivals but merely different faces of the same being. Death wears many masks, but the hand beneath is always the same. That lesson is chilling cause it suggests that no matter how different cultures are or how they name their gods, they are all praying to a single entity that thrives on the end of life. This mirrors Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, who slips into countless cults, into countless guises, wearing whatever face he wants to lure mortals into his worship. And to follow the many-faced god is to embrace death, not as a fate to resist, but as the ultimate truth and the only true mercy. To worship the many-faced god is to surrender into something vast, merciless and mocking, a force that does not offer hope or salvation, only the cold certainty of annihilation wrapped in the illusion of divine purpose. And the cold truth here is that everything will pass into nothingness. Despite everything that humanity has achieved, everything will fade away into nothing, and that is entropy, which is also the many-faced god. Anyway, those are all the terrifying and dark gods of the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, if you like this video, then watch this other one too, the one in the end screen, and do hit that like button for support. And for the ones who are seeing this video in their mobile phones, well, there's also that hype option for hyping up the video to other viewers. Anyway, if you want to support us, then click that too, and also subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, fam.